Hi everyone, it's a girl Curly. Hi everyone, it's a girl Curly Jamaican here with yet another live for you. Um, I really apologize if you guys are hearing people mowing their lawn. It's Sunday, and so I guess everyone is out mowing their lawn. But I really wanted to come on here and do a live today before I lost that passion or momentum that I have about the issue. Okay, so Rayshard Brooks, the newest, I would say, the newest person to be killed by an officer, and to be picked up on by the media for, the racial factors. Of course, Rayshard was black and the cop was white. Now, I do live in Atlanta and I have worked for city government. And to be very honest with you, these things. Thank you, Spencer. You're so awesome. Thank you for the support. I need it. Um, and these things aren't really common in Atlanta. Just being honest, being fair. So I'm really it saddens me to hear that happened. But before the Republicans come out and tell us that that is not an issue and you play stupid games and you win stupid prizes, and that he caused this on himself. And before the Democrats come out and start kneeling and wearing African scarves and pandering for votes, I wanted to go ahead and give my middle person, libertarian views on it. So, I do think better on paper than I do on camera. So I'm just going to go ahead and read something that I wrote here. Okay. So let's look at the situation with Rayshard Brooks and victimless crime, because really a lot of you are conditioned to think one way and we are locked in a vicious cycle because of it. And society cannot get better if we don't reform our thoughts, than the system. So clearly I'm about, police, law enforcement reform, and just changing the system so it benefits all involved, the police officers and the offenders. And when I say benefit, I'm not saying that we shouldn't punish offenders, but I think we should just take a step back and look at the way we are punishing offenders. And oh my bad, libertarian, never mind. What does that mean? What does that mean? Yes, I'm a libertarian. What does that mean? I'm in the middle. I mean, that's just where you need to be, in the middle. That way you can assess both sides without, being blinded by your own biases or by the party biases. You know how Republicans are. They always think that, there's no problem, we don't need reform, and we black people need to fix the crime in their community first before they start thinking about, highlighting police brutality, right? And you know how the Democrats are. They come out with their lovely speeches and they come out with their tree hugger. Yes, I'm a tree hugger. No, I'm not a tree hugger. Look at the cutting down trees over there. Do you see me protesting? I'm not a tree hugger, but I'm all for freedom and rights, okay? And I don't know who is against that. Don't you guys want your liberty and your freedom back? You should. And you better believe that a lot of it has been taken away in the name of security, over policing, and terrorism. Okay? And Spencer Miller, I know that you will agree with me on that. You know about the Patriot Act. I bet you have a yard full of trees. The backyard. You are crazy. Oh my goodness. But you know what I'm talking about. Your freedoms, and that's what I'm about. So let me continue reading this. Um, exactly what did this man do? He became drunk and fell asleep in his car. He wasn't driving. Maybe he realized he was too drunk and decided not to drive. Maybe I'm giving him too much credit. All in all, we are not, all in all, he was not harming anyone and he was not putting anyone's life in imminent danger. So the cops showed up and did a breathalyzer test. He failed the test. Now there's a crime in progress, public drunkenness, which is a misdemeanor. So they must detain him for being drunk in public, right? Or not. Let's think about this for a second. What if we had a different type of law enforcement and legal system that mandated that you cannot be drunk in public, so the police must drive you home safely, or you can call someone to come pick you up, because at this point, there's no victim or dire effect for the crime that you have committed. How do you think that would have, how do you think that the situation would have ended? And certainly not with him being dead or driving home drunk or anything like that. Things got really stupid after Rayshard realized that he was about to be arrested. And unfortunately, our system does not give way to less aggressive methods or mitigation. Imagine how many lawsuits, bodily harm, death, civil unrest, hostility towards law enforcement, unnecessary jail time, and waste of taxpayers' dollars we could avoid if we could just put the man in a taxi and send him home. Yes, but do you know if he realized he was too drunk to continue his drive and he parked there? You don't know. The fact is he came off the road and parked, but he may have been too drunk to do anything else. So he fell asleep in the car, in his car. If a person is too drunk to drive home, it's best for him to pull over and not put anyone's life in danger. So he would have drunk and drove again and possibly have killed someone. No, he fell asleep in the car. He fell asleep in the car, Spence. And we are speaking hypothetically. You absolutely don't know if this man decided to sleep off the drunkenness. You don't know. So here comes the law enforcement. How is that crazy? Are you telling me that you've never gotten that drunk before and ended up behind the wheel and decided, hey, you might need to kind of sleep this one off? You know what? We can all sit here and act as if a situation similar to that has never happened to us, right? Okay, maybe he went out and got too much to drink. Okay, first and foremost, let's not even do the hypotheticals here. Let's not do the hypotheticals. The fact is, he was parked in the parking lot, sleeping, and they called the cops on him because apparently it was to some extent disturbing, business. That's the fact. We can say that he would have woken up and started driving again. We can say that, he was too drunk and that's why he pulled over. Whatever. He was not driving. So he wasn't putting anyone's life in danger, which means that at this point, the cops will come and figure out a way to get him home safely. For example, tell him to call someone to come and pick him up. That is a crime at this point. No one was harmed except for him. And all he needed was a ride home. I know of a situation where I was driving with someone who was driving on a suspended license. Driving on a suspended license. You know what the cop did? And that was sort of a victimless crime in itself, because and hear me out. The person was in the right frame of mind to drive, right? But they were just driving on a suspended license. The cop said, you know what? I cannot let you drive home. I'm not going to write you a ticket. I'm not going to arrest you, but I cannot let you drive home. So call somebody. And let them come get you. Do you know how much chaos that avoided and could have avoided, and how much money was saved? Because now look what's about to unfold, right? It's a possibility that they're going to demand that this man be charged for whatever. I think he was actually following protocol, it's a possibility. So more than likely, he's going to get off with a slap on the wrist, right? But you're going to waste taxpayers' money putting him through the legal system only for him to get off, right? And all the other costs that comes with that, right? Plus, a Wendy's was burnt down because people are angry and people are upset, right? And we just have this domino effect of chaos. But imagine if you had just called a cab and sent him on his way for a victimless crime because he didn't harm anybody. No, and he would have been alive actually too. That is the biggest thing. He would have been alive. His life would have been saved. But we don't promote this in law enforcement. We want the axe to come down. We want the guillotine, their heads and everything, just because we want security, all in the name of public security and, all in the name of law enforcement. But we are losing and wasting so much money, taxpayers' dollars, on all of this garbage that is happening because we can't properly train our officers, and we refuse to change the legal system to accommodate or to mitigate certain crimes. So I wanted to take everybody a step back before what happened, because I know everyone is stuck on the moment he ran and when he got shot. Everyone is stuck on that. Oh, he shouldn't have ran. Oh, he there are so many things that the officer could have done. There's so many things he could have done. He could have probably taken on the taser himself and, tased Rayshard, or, there's everyone is stuck right there. But understand that it is the system that put both these people in the predicament that they are in. A crime like public drunkenness, really? Do you think that is worth this reaction from law enforcement and from the legal system? What do y'all think about rehabilitating people, drug users, marijuana users, alcoholics? Do you think arresting them and putting them in jail is helping anything? Another thing that, a lot of people are, the police was called because the man was drunk. He was drunk. He wasn't even in his right frame of mind, but the police officers were. But they weren't trained to take him down properly. And the system reinforces how that officer reacted to Rayshard resisting arrest. The system reinforces that. I'm thinking how this man complied. He complied up until he realized that he was being arrested. Can someone think of why, or what clicked in his mind after that? Because he did the breathalyzer test. The cops realized that he was too drunk. And then it was, and then the cop was like, well, I can't let you drive home. I'm going to arrest you. What do you think clicked in Rayshard's mind there? He was drunk, and he was probably thinking that I don't want to be arrested for being drunk. And in all honesty, I don't think he should have been arrested for being drunk in public. If your friend is drunk, what do? You tell him, no, you can't drive home. I'm putting you on an Uber. This is common sense type of thinking. Common sense thinking. And we can't apply this? I mean, think about it. And that's what the libertarians are about. They want to, because on top of that, let's say that they had taken in Rayshard alive. They would have booked him for a crime, right? And then here we have the crime rate going up for something like public drunkenness. Do you understand that a lot of the crimes are victimless crimes that people are being arrested for, that are being imprisoned for, are victimless crimes? And your tax dollars is really being used to hold people in prison and jail for something like this crime that Rayshard committed, which we could have just put him on a taxi and sent him home to cool off. Or he issued even a citation and said, you know, you have to come and pay this amount for being drunk in public, something like that. But we're not thinking along those lines. We're thinking along the lines of punish, punish, punish. But we need to start understanding. I mean, we need to really look into the psychology of crime, and we need to look into the psychology of policing, and we need to figure out how to mitigate and to prevent certain effects and the way certain things happen, the way certain things play out, the way certain things end. A lot of things could have been prevented. I know Rayshard's death could have been prevented. I know. Is this really what you guys want to continue with? Because you know the Democrats are not going to do anything about it, and the Republicans don't think there's a problem. Is that really how you guys really want to continue this? So that is my take on it. And I wanted to talk about the mayor of Atlanta. Now, irony is this. This is the irony. When the people were protesting in Atlanta, she got really convicted and she came out and she spoke. She said, go home and pray that somebody, like she quoted a name, will come and teach you how to protest. And honestly, nothing made me more frustrated. Nothing made me more frustrated than her words, because nothing was fixed. No type of solution was presented. And look, right at her doorstep. Now a chief has retired. They have a dead person on their hands, blood on their hands, and possibly a cop that is about to face charges. So when I tell you that when they come out with their speeches, and when they come out and they make they say these wonderful things, I just look and I think, okay, what are you going to pencil and take to Congress so that we can make a change and have some type of change in law enforcement? What are you going to do about that? I mean, now it's damage control. Her brain is spinning for damage control right now. And that's what happens when you try to sweep a problem under the rug and try to placate people. That's what happens, because instead of attacking the issue, the root of the problem, you'd rather sound like an MLK supporter or something. I don't know. You'd rather sound like that. Play you and stop letting them speak these wonderful words whisper these wonderful sweet nothings in your ears and end up not doing anything about it. I know that after that whole incident, she was trying to pioneer some type of reform. I'm not sure exactly what their methods were, or if it was just something said to make it look like they were doing something. But now she really has to sit down and look at what she needs to do in order to make policing safe for everyone. Let me tell you where we have gone wrong where policing is concerned. This whole authoritarian approach that we have given to the police officers. We've given to the police officers. And then we forget that it is their duty to protect our rights and protect us as citizens. Criminal or not, you're still a citizen. And yes, you're on the side of the offender, but you still have rights. And the police officer's duty is to protect those rights. So yes, Rayshard shouldn't have been drinking and shouldn't have been asleep in his car. He shouldn't have run. He shouldn't have grabbed the taser. All of this shouldn't have happened. That cop should have been in shape. He was fat. Did you guys see him? Overweight. This man didn't want to run. He saw that man take off, a drunk man take off, and said, "Oh, forget this. You're coming down, and I'm not running after you." And a lot of them just lazy as heck. Lazy. Did you see him? Unhealthy. Didn't want to pursue on foot. Wasn't worth his time. Unhealthy. So we can actually look at all of these, right? But the main thing is something like being drunk in public where there were no victims should not have gone down this way. And Rayshard complied even up to the breathalyzer test. Imagine how much compliance you're going to get from people who feel as if law enforcement is working with them, who feel as if law enforcement is going to have a more community-based type of humanizing approach. Imagine. Up until he realized he was about to be arrested, that man was complying. Hit him with a citation and send him on his way in a taxi or something. I'm body shaming the cops because they're supposed to be in shape. Let me tell you something about Republicans. You guys like to talk about quota hire with these women because you guys don't feel as if they are physically equipped enough to take down somebody. Well, we don't want any out of shape fat officers on the force either. I'm sorry. Keep yourself in shape. That man looked like if he ran 2 feet, he would have probably gotten some type of heart attack or hypertension or something. The man was overweight. He, if he was in shape, he could have pursued a drunk man on foot. He could have and taken him down. He had a taser. He was drunk, and there were multiple officers out there. Yes, if they really were, if their mindset wasn't as lazy as it was, and they really wanted to apprehend this guy safely. I'm not a Republican. I'm American. Ha! I'm sorry, Spencer. I don't know why I assumed that you were a Republican. Are you a Democrat? Oh no, you're a Republican. Well, guess what? I'm sorry, you're American. So guess what? Since you are not on either side, you should join us in the middle. You should join the Libertarians because they want to protect your freedoms as much as possible. They don't think that you should go to jail for um, you know, being drunk or smoking marijuana or purchasing marijuana or and things like that. They don't think that you should go to jail for that. And I'm with that. I'm built like one too. Like American? What do you mean? Are you like I'm imagining you to be a how do I say this nicely? I'm imagining you to be one of those country old boys. I I'll pass. Oh my goodness. But you know, I want you guys to think about it. I want you guys to think about how we can make law enforcement better. Because in the end, it's going to benefit all of us. You don't know. One day you might end up being a drunk driver. One day you might need the cops to pull you over, do a breathalyzer test, and say, "Sir, you're too drunk to drive. I'm going to issue you a citation but you need to get someone to come and take you home, and you don't spend the night in jail. That citation will be a reminder that you don't need to be drinking and driving. But we don't have, or we don't encourage mitigation in law enforcement. You know, Biden, which I've just found this out, guys. Biden was the one that came up with the three-strike rule. The three-strike rule, right? And they came up with an initiative that would hire a lot more police officers to plague communities. And when I say plague communities, I'm talking about even for crimes that victimless crimes, plague communities. I am curious about the Libertarian Party's stance on other crimes, though. You know, murder and things like that. If I watched a live with Joe Jorgensen this Friday on Facebook, and it was a Q&A. So I think the next live I'm going to go to, I'm going to see if hopefully she'll catch my question, but I'm going to ask her, in a case where it is an absolute criminal, a mass murderer, or someone that's resisting or anything like that, you know, how do you propose that that person is apprehended, especially if they are a threat to the public? You know, how do you propose that that person is apprehended? But you guys can clearly see the difference between a mass murderer, a terrorist, and someone that is out here drinking. You guys can clearly see the difference. You don't think that a reform is needed? So that is really my take on that. I'm going to ask her a few other questions. Um, she did talk about immigration reform, and you know, she mentioned that she was an immigrant. Her foreparents were immigrants themselves. I mean, the fact is, most of us in America, most of us, we are from immigrants, immigrant parents, or we're immigrants ourselves. A lot of us are, right? And so, you know, I hope that she will be tough on border protection, but I also hope that she will reform the immigration system to make sure that it's not as difficult as it is right now. You know, Trump, he's making it super hard, much harder for immigrants to become legal. And, you know, I'm thinking with a country filled with illegal immigrants who are also benefiting from our economy and contributing to our economy, how are we not trying to figure out a way to make them a significant part of our taxes and things like that? Because a lot of them, you know, they're not paying taxes, or, you know, things like that. Also, another thing that I really, really need some clarity on where Jo Jorgensen is concerned, she is all about um, limited taxes, less taxes. And, you know, we're actually so conditioned to think that the more taxes we pay, the better our society will become. We're conditioned to think that, not realizing that a lot of our money is being wasted on things like putting people in jail for victimless crime. Or a lot of our tax dollars are being wasted on things like that. So I wanted to know how, you know, how they would invest the taxpayers' dollars in, and you know, what they would consider important, and you know, what we would need taxes for, as opposed to what's not important, what we won't need taxes for. So those are some things. You know, I'm always on here pushing the libertarian ideals, because honestly, at this point, if we don't realize that we are locked between a wall and a hard place. I think I said that wrong, but we're stuck between a rock and a hard place. If you don't realize that Republicans versus the Democrats are actually the people being stuck between a rock and a hard place, the Democrats being the rock and the Republicans being the hard place, because nothing gets through to them. They sit there and they pretend that everything is fine, and they they want Black people to get their crap together, and they refuse to get America together for everyone. So, I just if you don't realize that, then it's just a sad state of affairs for us. But I'm trying to let you guys know that it is in your best interest to choose freedoms. And do you know what I was thinking about the other day? Guys, remember when alcohol was illegal? Do you guys remember when alcohol was illegal and there was some type of ooh, let me just kind of get my history together where that is concerned. Oh, like abolish like that. Do you remember when that happened and the people revolted and it made alcohol legal again? And that came to my the prohibition. Yeah, the prohibition. So, do you guys remember that in our history and how the people made sure that selling and procuring alcohol was not a crime? Well, guess what? As of right now, as it stands, there are a lot of crimes like that now that are over criminalized, and I just want people to just think on these things, when they vote in November. Anyway, guys, I am going to end my video right here. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for your feedback. Uh, like, share, subscribe. Tell me what you think. Please vote. I'm not going to tell you who to vote for, but I will tell you, vote right. Vote for freedom. Vote to get America back on track. It is in our hands. And I know that, a lot of us are out here scared to vote for a third party because, a lot of us are looking like we don't want Trump to remain president, or we don't want the Democrats to become president, the Democrats to win the elections. I get that. I get that. But both of you will win if you vote for Libertarian. All right. So thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys in the next live. Bye.